Hey, what's going on everybody out there? This is Jakejames Lugo. Welcome to the channel and welcome to this brand new unboxing and impressions video. We're going to be taking a look at the guide to Japanese role-playing games from Bitmap Books. They did not send this over to me. I actually bought this and ordered it myself from them, but either way, big shout outs to Bitmap Books because I reviewed their books in the past. A lot of different books including the Neo Geo book, as well as also their looks at the NES and the SNES. They have a lot of great stuff, so I'm expecting good things from this. So anyway, we're looking at this book, a complete guide to Japanese role-playing games. Right off the bat, as you guys have probably seen on social media, the cover of this book is beautiful. Looks great. You can see a lot of homages to like classic 8-bit, 16-bit, maybe 32-bit JRPGs. A lot of love in there for that. Great artwork, great original artwork, I should say. It's not based off of any one thing. But as you could tell as well, this book is beefy. This book is very freaking meaty. Like, it's got a lot of stuff inside of it. And I've been dying to take a look at this for a while, but only other thing I should mention is that it just comes with a little advertisement for their other books. There's nothing else that was included in the package. It doesn't have the plastic on it now because I opened it up just to make sure like everything was okay with it when I got it in the box. But let's open up this book from the very get-go, man. Like, so what do we got? We have a full table of contents that covers a variety of different things. So I'm going to kind of lower the brightness a little bit just so you guys could see it a little bit more clear. But it talks about a bunch of different stuff in here. We're going to browse through just a little bit of it because, again, this book is so beefy, has a lot of things going for it. But it talks about different things, including defining what a JRPG is, giving a history of JRPGs, talking about different series, including Final Fantasy, Shin Megami Tensei, the Tales of series from Bandai Namco, the variety of like different types of JRPGs, including action RPGs, strategy RPGs. A ton of stuff is in this book, man. And of course, you got an intro that is pretty nice. What I like, though, is that we have a little annotation, a little key bar that talks about all the different consoles and the console generations that are involved here. So you got everything from the 3DO, the Sega Genesis, the Mega Drive, the Xbox, Xbox One, the Super Nintendo, the Famicom, a whole bunch of stuff. A bunch of contributors as well. I'm pretty sure I probably know a few names in here. But yeah, we're going to kind of go through some of these pages. Now, right off the bat, I will admit, okay, let me just fix the camera here so you guys could see it a little bit better. I will admit, I don't like the smaller images for this. Now, granted, this is like more of the like blocky word like section of the book, I'm pretty sure. And it's got to get through all this stuff like history and like definitions and stuff. But I will say that I understand it, but I'm more of a fan when you have larger images. One thing I will say, in some of their other books that Bitmap has, they have much more beautiful images laid out on their pages. So, understandable, but that's my little nitpick right off the bat. So, we're going through a bunch of different games, a bunch of different console generations. I can even see Final Fantasy VII Remake talks about in here. I believe this is the section about remakes, or is it the one like right before? Because get into like a lot of like other stuff like localization. Okay, here we go, localization, and it starts talking about a whole bunch of different things. Soundtrack. So I'm just breezing through this just to show you guys some of the different stuff with it. Anime, we love anime out here. Okay, I could even see Sakura Wars, like a name that I believe that's Fire Emblem. I could be wrong. Again, they have it here. They listed. Yeah, Fire Emblem, Sakura Wars, Tales of the Abyss. I love the anime style, like anime cutscenes in most JRPGs because that's really fun, really cool. There's a lot of like anime-inspired like visuals in pretty much almost any JRPG, I should say. Attack and Dethrone God, which is a trademark thing of JRPGs where you're fighting like a deity. Now here we go with some more images. Again, I don't like the smaller images. Keep in mind, these are from like 8-bit and 16-bit RPGs, but I love, this is what I'm talking about. This right here is what I'm talking about. When we get those big spreads, those big full pages of images, of visual material, that's what I love. And this is when we start to get to what I like to see, where we get more images. And then this starts to run through a bunch of different types of RPGs. This is like more like, I want to say like Atari 2600 or Famicom, where you start getting into those first-person RPGs, which is very similar to what you see in the Persona series, where it's like a dungeon crawler almost. Not in the same way that you would get from a Diablo, which is more Western, but those first-person dungeon crawlers where you're going through different areas that are like dungeons and they have progressive stages. That's all like the original Shin Megami Tensei series. And I see a lot of classic ones in here, man. A lot of classic stuff. Stuff I haven't even seen here in the States, because we saw Highlight before. Again, I'm skipping through some of these where it's starting to run through a lot of different series. And I'm seeing the same thing, which is my little nitpick. I want larger images, bigger, larger spreads, so I can look at the gorgeous visuals of some of these RPGs. Now, granted, some of these are 8-bit, So there's not a whole lot to look at, but again, I'm a very visual person when I see stuff like that. And I just think it looks beautiful when you do so. Okay, so we're skipping over a lot. Falcom, look at this. So I'm guessing more of like the bigger JRPGs and the more popular, more historically significant ones are probably going to get the bigger spreads, or at least get more space to show off like how they look like, which is fine. I can totally understand that. Ys Book 1 and 2. I know this got a remake at one point. Pretty sure this got a remake because I remember seeing like Ys just get another remake here and there. A lot of Ys games. Ys, what is it? Ys 3 and Ys Oath of Felghana. I think that's how you pronounce it. Then we get to Memories of Celceta, which is cool. That had a remake on the PS Vita, if you didn't know that. If you haven't played it, I have thoughts about it because I played it before. It's also on Steam, I believe. But anyway, let's keep going because we're starting to run through a lot of JRPGs. Legend of Heroes. There's a bunch of Legend of Heroes games. I can already see, like on the PSP, there's even ones on the Vita that are pretty significant. Trials of the Sky, look at that, or Trails of the Sky. But let's keep going. I'm going to start kind of like quickly going through most of these things. Okay, Dragon Quest, significant RPG. Like how it's got a big spread here or a big full page. A lot of text. This is a very wordy book, I will admit. Or at least this is getting into the series itself. So I'm starting to see Dragon Quest 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going through all the Dragon Quest. Look at that beautiful promo image. That's pretty cool. Pretty freaking dope. Let me see if I could actually, on the camera, give you guys a better look here. Look at that. Look at that image right there. Pretty freaking cool. Awesome rendered image. Start going through all these Dragon Quest, man. There's a lot of Dragon Quest. And now we get to my neck of the woods, Final Fantasy. We love Final Fantasy over here. We're all about those Moogles. We're all about those Chocobos. Final Fantasy 2, Final Fantasy 3, Final Fantasy 4, probably one of the greatest RPGs ever made. Personally for me, one of these days, I kid you not, I've been planning this for a while. I'm going to review Final Fantasy 4, the complete edition, which is Final Fantasy 4, Final Fantasy 4 Interlude, and Final Fantasy 4 The After Years, because I love this game. This game is awesome. I have multiple versions of it too, which I'm pretty sure they're going to mention on here, or at least I could see right there. There's the DS version, which is, I believe, yeah, the DS version is the one with the 3D models, which is cool. Even though I don't think it's the best version of that game. But anyway, we're going to go down a rabbit hole if I continue with that. But anyway, let's continue going with some of the other Final Fantasy games. Final Fantasy 7, Final Fantasy 5, Final Fantasy 6, Final Fantasy 8, one of my other favorites because of the Gunblade. Final Fantasy 9, I reviewed this on the channel. Most of these games, some of these RPGs, Final Fantasy 10, 10-2, I have reviewed on the channel that you guys can find right now. Because, again, they're very meaty games. Final Fantasy 13, ugh. Even though I am fine with it being the book, I have thoughts. One of these days, I'll tell everybody about it. But also Final Fantasy 15. Funny enough, no Final Fantasy 14, because I'm guessing that falls into the way of like MMOs, which would have been interesting at least to mention since it is part of the series. But Final Fantasy 15, a very big game. I've seen that game since its inception, and I've seen it like all the way through to the end and reviewed it, which is cool. Worlds of Final Fantasy, so much Final Fantasy, man. Mystic Quest were one of the most underrated soundtracks, period. Or at least I should say, most underrated track. Because the battle track of this game is actually pretty dope. Type 0, Crisis Core. I've been dying to review this game for the longest. One day, we will get to it. But yeah, we're going through a rabbit hole. So now, finally, we get to Shin Megami Tensei. And I believe that was a little bend on the page. Is that a bend? Okay, no, thank God. I thought that was a bend, man. I was about to be like, no! So yeah, we get into Shin Megami Tensei, we get to Persona. There's a lot of stuff in here. Pretty sure we're going to get to Persona any second now. There's so many Shin Megami Tensei. There's so much Shin Megami Tensei. So here we go. Now we get to Persona 3, one of my favorite Persona games. Has probably one of the best soundtracks. And then same thing with Persona 4, amazing soundtrack. Persona 5, another one with an amazing soundtrack. This is the one game, I'll admit to you guys, that I've, in my entire career, this is the only game that I've ever given a full 100 out of 100. Period. Like, it's crazy. And you guys can even see that video that I did of Persona 5 here on the channel right now if you haven't seen it. So, anyway, going through the rest of the book, because we're starting to see a lot of similar stuff with it. I'm not digging the smaller images with it. I like the larger images when they do show up with that, because again, we can see like Tales of Destiny, Tales of Symphonia. I want to review this game eventually at some point as well. But I really like when they have larger images that show that full color look. Okay, here's Berseria. You can see like the full nice image there. It's cool as a header image, but I would love to see less text or maybe more pages devoted so we can see bigger images. This could possibly be because this book is so like medium beefy because it has so much text to go through. Maybe like they could have probably edited down just a tiny bit and probably put a lot more images. But again, I haven't made my own book, so I can't really criticize it for that. But at least that's my first initial impressions of it thus far. Then we start getting to Valkyrie Profile. We start getting to all these other ones. So we're going to start skipping stuff, okay, just to see what we got here. Let me also, by the way, mention Earthbound. This is a game that I have yet to sit down and play. I have yet to really kind of get into Earthbound or the Mother series in general. A lot of people say it's good. One day we'll review Earthbound. I promise you that. And I'll let you know if I think it's good or if it sucks. Anyway, Phantasy Star. By the way, no Phantasy Star modern games. This is at the original Phantasy Star, which is more of a JRPG than the action ones that we had later on, which had the online components and all that stuff. But we start getting to other series. What's this? The Tengai Makyo, the series, and it starts getting into a bunch of different things here. Look at this. A lot more images, but they're small. I would love to see maybe less text and make one of these images of gameplay just a lot bigger on the page. But again, that's just me. That's just me and my nitpickiness. The Final Fantasy Legend, which is the Mana series, I believe. It's pretty cool. Romantic Saga. And then we start getting into some of these other ones, which is cool. But we're going to skip over a little bit more to get to the rest of the book here. Because again, look at all this stuff. There's so much text. If you love JRPGs, I can tell you right now, this is a book that's going to have a lot of history and a lot of stuff for you to get through. And a lot of series for you to explore. Breath of Fire, one of these days, we're going to talk about this series. Because I have thoughts. And you might be surprised at what I think about it. But anyway, skip over that. Paper Mario, now I like that it's including stuff like this. Because on the surface level, you wouldn't think that Paper Mario was a JRPG. But it actually is. The Paper Mario series and the Mario Luigi series, I'm glad to see it in there. Grandia 1 and 2 and 3, Wild Arms, and it starts getting, again, these are all, or at least not alphabetical order, but they're starting to get into a lot of series. Suikoden, if you guys want to see my reviews of Suikoden 1 and 2, they're on the channel right now. You guys could go watch it. And then we start getting into the other games. So, overall, as I start to pass through the rest of this series, or the rest of this book, because we're seeing a lot more of the series that's just giving shine to. One other thing I should mention too, I see it now, let me actually get to the page. A little marker to kind of mark off. It's like a little bookmark, but it's unlike other standard bookmarks. This is like a real nice way of like not damaging the book, that you go just mark off where you're at and you can have it right here. So when you close the book, you actually have it there. You can immediately get to the page that you're at. I like stuff like that a little bit more so than the bookmarks, but I will admit, standard bookmarks that are like larger rectangles and stuff, much nicer looking. I'm just saying. Anyway, like I was going back to my point before, we're skipping over now a little bit more of this because, as you can tell, it just runs through a bunch of different series that are JRPGs, and we already had all the information dump in the very beginning of the book. That is like defining an RPG and talks about what is an RPG. It's a good guide. Ooh, by the way, I Am Setsuna. That's another game we're going to talk about one day. I like how it does give you like the full skinny on what JRPG is, like the history and all that stuff. I think that's great, and I'm going to read through most of that stuff, just to, go through it as, when I'm chilling one day. Lost Sphere and Oninaki. By the way, I reviewed Oninaki. I did a written review of it a while back. But my biggest criticism is the images. That's my biggest... Ooh, hold on a second. They got Castlevania in here? Yes. I love it. I love seeing Castlevania. By the way, the biggest one being Symphony of the Night. I'm surprised. Does it mention any of the other ones? Okay, it mentions Order of Ecclesia. It doesn't mention Aria of Sorrow. See, Lords of Shadow. See a whole bunch of other stuff in here. Castlevania, 97. It doesn't mention the other ones. I wish it mentioned the other ones, because technically, if you're going to include Castlevania Symphony of the Night as an JRPG, which technically it does have JRPG elements to it and stuff, I would love to see a little bit of shine given to that, to the other games as well. Order of Ecclesia, Aria of Sorrow, Portrait of Ruin, etc. But I understand it because, again, these are like JRPG, like, stuff that's included with it. It's not necessarily JRPG games, per se. Because when I kind of go through, okay, this is the action RPG section, no wonder. Okay, that makes more sense now. Again, they mentioned Zelda. So, action RPG, I guess you could say that. Would I really have included this? Probably not. But I'm happy it does. Look at this, a whole section of Kingdom Hearts. But again, needs bigger images. Needs bigger images. You got to see these beautiful visuals in like their full glory, man. Like, you could get rid of some of this text, put like a nice big image right here. You know what I'm saying? The Game Boy Advance games maybe have it in the quarter format like that. Same thing with the Birth by Sleep. But even then, like, I would just put like a giant image just like right there. Right there, son. Anyway. Oh, we get into Nier. Okay, we get into Nier now. Okay, there's a lot of stuff. I'm definitely gonna have to look through this to see. Yakuza? Yes. Okay. Look at that. What is it? Kiryu with the go-kart. It's pretty funny. But anyway, so wrapping up my overall thoughts, because I know I'm going off a little bit long. Again, this is a beefy book, as you could tell, and there's a lot of other stuff that I'm going to have to like read through with a lot of different things I'll probably refer to at some point or another down the line. I think I saw Sakura Wars. Hold on a second. Where is it? Where is it? Arc the Lad. Sakura Wars. There you go. Pretty awesome. Overall, this is definitely a book for if you love Japanese role-playing games. You are going to want a book like this. I did pay about, about $50, I want to say, because it started off, I believe, in euros or pounds, but it gets converted to USD for here in North America. Is it worth it? I believe so. Even if you're not a book collector like I am, I think that this book is definitely worth it because of how much like information you're going to have in here. Japanese roguelikes. Okay, so yeah, they're getting into a lot of different like versions of like what a Japanese role-playing game could be, or at least all the stuff that's underneath that umbrella of it. There's a lot of games in here that are included. Like even look at that, Pokemon. Pokemon to me is like the one JRPG you got to include in any book because it's baby's first JRPG. It's the first one that a lot of people played. That was their introduction to the genre. If they weren't already playing Final Fantasy, if they weren't already playing Dragon Quest, etc. This is definitely a game or a series you need to include. And look at that, they got multiple pages to it. Digimon, same thing. I'm pretty sure in here they probably got Monster Rancher. I would not be surprised. Look at that. I was literally just saying Monster Rancher. Okay, so bottom line, that's pretty good. So yeah, if you're into JRPGs, I can't say much more than you need to own this. Look, Phantasy Star Online. I was saying that they probably didn't have it in here, and it's actually in here. So this is definitely Final Fantasy 11. Let me turn the page. Dragon Quest 11. Does it have Final Fantasy 14 is what I need to know. Because it has Final Fantasy 11. I'm pretty sure it's going to have Final Fantasy 14 as well. Some part. Look at that. I was literally just saying. So I can't say much more about it. Like I could again, like if you are into Japanese role-playing games, this is a book for you. Look at Undertale. It includes Undertale in here. So highest praise for me when it comes to being informative and being a book that fans of the genre are going to want. So yeah, definitely get this book if you're into the genre. Definitely get this book if you're a collector of gaming-related coffee table books. This is up there. Well worth the money. So anyway, those are my thoughts, and that's my first impressions and unboxing, quote-unquote, of the guide to Japanese role-playing games from Bitmap Books. Let me know your guys' thoughts down below in the comment section. Leave a like on this video. Subscribe to the channel, of course, as always. Make sure you guys tell me what other types of books and other types of things you want me to unbox and take a look at here on the channel. With that being said, I will talk to all of you again very soon. Peace out, and stay epic, everybody. Thanks a bunch for watching the video. I really appreciate it a ton. I'll have more videos for you to enjoy here on the side that I know you'll love. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit that bell icon too. Don't forget to visit my Patreon linked below for early access to new videos every week, and join the Discord server too. It's linked in the description box below. You'll definitely love being a part of it. Thanks again, peace out, and stay epic, everybody.